Hi, Bashi.
Hi, Sufi.
How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Good.
Nice.
Are you, what'd you do this weekend?
A couple weeks ago when I saw that tickets had gone on sale for Final Destination Bloodlines.
Oh, right.
I bought 10 for an IMAX at the Grove, 7 p.m. Saturday
night. You would
night.
just buy 10 and just go yourself. You just wanted the box office to be big enough that they would keep making Final Destination movies.
I've always loved the Final Destination franchise.
Huge fan.
Yeah. And, some old friends in the past, like Nikki Sullivan, our old buddy, who I feel like I maybe saw the first 2 with, but I haven't seen a movie in a long time. She texted me like a week after I bought tickets, and she's like, hey, should we do this? And I was like, I already have 10. You want in?
Great.
And so we had a big group, got together, had dinner beforehand. Great, gory.
So you were happy?
I was very happy. Yeah. So that was kind of that was my big thing, and then I went to a memorial for Lynn Marie Stewart, who played Missy Vaughn on Pee-wee's Playhouse, who sadly passed away. But she had her memorial was a luau at this place called the Friendship Pavilion, which I'd never been to, which is also just a perfect name for an event to remember her. And I had a rehearsal for something, so I had to leave a little bit early. But it was such a warm, happy sort of good vibe, and saw lots of great people. And wish I could have stayed to see everyone speak, because it was clearly going to be an excellent celebration of just a wonderful, wonderful person who will be much missed.
Oh, that's lovely.
Yeah.
We had a very nice thing this week, which was this little arts, like a sort of local art store. You've been there. Have I dragged you with the kids? So they had their 25th anniversary, and this is just sort of a place where kids can go and do arts and crafts. And, basically a lot of the stuff is just donated items from, just like buttons and, old markers and pine cones. And my kids could just spend hours there. Yeah. So they did a fundraiser, and they knew what they were doing. It's attached to a pottery studio.
Uh-huh.
So one of the things was you could donate $5 and your kids could smash a clay pot.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it was a smash tent.
Yeah.
And basically, long story short, I'm out like $1,500. I'm not, but I will. I mean, each kid did it once, and they reacted the way I imagine you react the first time you do heroin, which is all you can think about is when is the next time I'm going to do heroin. Like Addie especially was like, one more pot.
Yeah.
Dada, one more pot. One more bowl. And so they smashed that, and they're real happy about it.
We years ago were in Tivoli Gardens, or Tivoli Garden. I don't know if it's plural or not, but Tivoli Garden in Copenhagen, and there are rides that you can go on, and then there's sort of little games that you can play, like a ring toss kind of a game and that kind of stuff. But there was a booth where there were these ceramic plates sort of clipped onto the back wall. And I forget, I think they moved. I think they were going back and forth.
Yeah, I think they were too, yeah.
And for whatever the amount of money you paid, you got like 3 wooden balls. They were like carved wooden balls. And
they were real Danish balls. Like it felt like a craftsman's ball.
They weren't perfectly circular. It was like as soon as someone made it close enough, they were like, this one's done, and moved on.
That's enough of a ball.
Yeah.
Right.
And you'd pay money and you'd get these balls and you could chuck them, and ideally you would hit a plate and smash it. And I remember, I forget which one of us, but we smashed it and we were like, what do we win? And they were like, nothing. That's it.
You win the joy of destroying a plate.
Yeah. And even when we found out we didn't win anything, we kept paying money to do it more, because there's something.
Also, it was like make-believe money. It's not you could use it for real goods and services.
Yeah, it's like this bill's pink, this one's blue.
Come on, this one's got a duck on it. I've always said, we haven't talked enough about it, the best hot dog I've had in my life was at the Copenhagen airport.
Oh, yeah. Was it that weird red hot dog?
Like think of a real here. See if this sounds appetizing, listeners. Just the longest, skinniest, bright red hot dog.
Yeah,
they were selling it next to the luggage carousel.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was then I had put mustard on it with then like really crunchy onions.
Yeah,
it was probably like 7:30 in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
And I think about it all the time.
Yeah.
And I feel like it maybe was, I don't even think it was licensed. And so I'm worried that if I go back, they're going to be like, no, we got rid of him.
What were those words?
We got rid of him. That was Lars. He did not have a license.
Rid of him. I see. Yeah. So yeah, smashing stuff. Always
just
a good time.
Smashing stuff. It was good. Back when we were young and we could smash stuff.
Yeah.
Now every time something gets smashed, I'm like, ugh, I got to pay to replace it.
I like that art store was having a fundraiser because it always seems like every time we're there, you spend about $1,600.
I will say it's not. It's for the fact that everything's donated. It does seem like, I don't know, it should be a little cheaper. Also, they're always calling and saying, "Hey, you left some stuff here. Do you want to pick it up?" I'm like, "No."
Yeah. Well, the
boys are always like, "I'm not done with my castle."
Oh yeah.
And
well, I think
we'll
maybe then it's a good idea that they have this fundraiser because it tells kids if you don't pick your stuff up, it's going to go into the smash bin.
Oh, that's true. Hey, the other cool thing they did was put an easel on like a spinner. So, and then the kids like basically paint in like ketchup bottles and they would like just spray the paint. It would make like spin art.
Oh, fun.
And that the kids are a big fan of. And Addie's sucks so much because she just put way too much paint on it. So it just looks like brown. Also, the kids learn, like Ash learned, you squeeze it straight down, and you are, you're sort of, you're paying attention to the dose. Whereas Addie was kind of squeezing it to the side and was definitely got some pain on some people who were just walking by the spinner.
Yeah. Are any of these artworks currently in the gallery?
They're in the gallery, yes.
Okay. The gallery, for those people who don't know.
The gallery is in our damp as shit basement.
It's in the scariest room of a very old house's basement.
If you walk through the cobwebs, you actually haven't gone too far.
That you've convinced your children that's a gallery. And then also, anytime you go visit, it's like, they'll be like, do you want to see the gallery? And you walk down there and it's, I'm sure mom's always terrified.
You have to walk by multiple mouse traps, like a snake's skeleton.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can see just some real lazy art. But, I love them. I don't know what I'd do without them. Hey, Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
Oh, yeah. Negan, for those who don't know.
Negan, for you don't know. And I mean, just
from The Walking Dead.
In real life, a real reverse Negan.
Yeah. Real nice guy, not a bad guy.
Yeah. Negan, ultimately, a little bit of a Negan rehabilitation over the years. But still, at core, a far worse guy than Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
Yeah, I think, if we're in a world where all of a sudden it's zombies, who knows how...
Who knows how we'd behave.
Right.
Yeah. I'm not going to just rush to judgment on Negan. Why? Just because he has a baseball bat with nails in it? Now all of a sudden he's a bad guy? All right. Well, he's a delight, and Pasha, you're a delight.
Oh, so are you, Suf.
You know what's not a delight?
Huh.
The gallery. All right. Here, enjoy him. JDM.
Those are my initials.
Oh, my God. I just jumped on. I know you were expecting to hear Family Trips, the theme song by Jeff Tweedy. I just remembered. Yeah, Jeffrey Dean Morgan has the same initials as you.
Yeah, Josh Dylan Meyers. Not Joshua, everybody. So back off.
Not Joshua. All right. Let's check it out. What a breakthrough.
Family Trips with the Meyers brothers. Family Trips with the Meyers brothers. Here we go.
Yeah.
Hey.
Wow.
Hello, boys.
Look at you.
Is this the Airstream that we read about?
I'm in the fucking Airstream out in the middle of the field. At my house.
A lot of times these showbiz people, they pretend they have an Airstream. They talk a big game, and then you just show up fully inside it.
I live in this thing. When I don't use it for work, my daughter and I spend weekends out here. We're camping.
Yeah. Great. So how far away is it from the main house?
It's not far.
Okay.
It's a couple 100 yards.
But still, I would prefer that. I like the idea of going camping with my kids, but I don't want to be in a tent. So the Airstream sounds like a real win-win.
No, it's way more like glampy. Last night. Well, this weekend we spent the weekend in here, her and I. My 15-year-old wants nothing to do with it. But, she wants me to cook dinner in here. And
Great.
I'm like, why don't we just go into the house or order some DoorDash, No,
So
Dad.
wait, I want to get the age where a kid wants to actually spend a weekend in an Airstream with their dad.
She's 7, but
that's great.
She's been cool with this since she was born. She's very much a daddy's girl and anything to be with her dad. Where my son is 100% opposite and just wants to hang out with mom.
Oh, that's
and he's 15.
Where in the world are you? I'm sorry, Jeffrey?
I'm in upstate New York, just outside of Rhinebeck. We have a farm in Salt Point, and then and we're actually, and I wouldn't say we're leaving the farm, but we are moving into the city full time, right next to where you live, Seth. We have a place. I shouldn't say where I live, but right there by Bowery Hotel.
All right, you're going to be in the Seth district. We look forward.
We're going to be in the
Seth
district. Yeah.
But now, you also didn't kind of come to Airstreams late in life, like these sort of modern hipsters. Your youth was very Airstream forward, correct?
Well, it was very camper forward. Remember the campers that you just slap on the back of a pickup truck? And then we had, it was funny because I know you guys like to talk about vacations and family travel and all that stuff. And I'm like, last night I was thinking about it. I'm like, God, we didn't have any money, so we didn't do anything.
By the way, I want to point out, you do have money now, and you went on vacation 200 yards from your house.
I do. I sleep in my Airstream. My wife loves it. We have 4 dogs, too, that want to come in here at the same time. So I got 4 dogs and my daughter and me. But we had a Volkswagen bus, a 1971 Volkswagen bus that I learned to drive in. But my dad retrofitted it with plywood and vinyl cushions that stuck to every part of your body on a hot day. And we would go road tripping, camping, and that kind of thing. And that was
Pacific Northwest?
Pacific Northwest,
Okay.
Seattle, just outside of Seattle. Born in Renton and then lived in a little town called Kirkland, which is like the east side of Lake Washington.
Now, I would imagine, having a camper and taking road trips from a starting point of Kirkland, you saw some pretty amazing stuff, though.
Yeah, God, I was so young when my parents were together, for one, because that was sort of the key to family vacations, I suppose. And my sister was 4 years younger than me, so she was really small. But I remember the biggest trip we did was to Disneyland from Seattle in the bus. And I remember that very distinctly. Otherwise, the great thing about the Pacific Northwest when you're a kid, I didn't know any better, was, there was lots of places for camping, and we would just go pull up to a camp spot. My parents would stay in the bus with the sticky vinyl, and then I would sleep out in the tent solo.
Were you and your sister close, despite the age difference?
Not really, because 4 years is a tough difference when you're, a 10-year-old boy. You got a little sister who's just telling on you the whole time. And that's kind of what I remember to this day. And it hasn't changed. She still tells on me.
Could you ever negotiate with her to maybe shut up about some things?
I thought that I had made great deals, and then it would turn around and she would stab me in the back.
My wife had a moment the other day where she just was so worn down. And I feel like every good motherly instinct had just been burned off her, and she was so tired, and my daughter was just whining, and she goes, no one, and she's 4 or 3, excuse me. And she was like, no one plays with me at school. And my wife goes, is it because you're a narc?
Now that's my conversation that I have with them, because my wife kind of encourages the narky behavior, and I'm like, no, you can't be throwing. I said that might be well and good to be like, the teacher loving you and stuff, but your friends are that's gonna follow you around. Don't be throwing people under the bus, kid.
Also, it's funny because my wife is, she's a former prosecutor, and so the amount of like, your whole career was based on narcs. What would you do without a narc or two? Shame my daughter for narking out.
That is 3. Is that your only one?
No, I have 3. I have a 9, 7. You know what?
Oh my God!
I don't even remember how old she is.
9, 7, and 3. I believe.
9, 7, and 3. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which baby was born in like the lobby?
The middle one. Yeah.
A middle one. Okay.
And as I do have a joke where if you met him, you'd know.
You would know.
I wouldn't have been able to tell you before we had him what a lobby baby's energy is, but he's got it.
What about you, Josh? You?
No kids. No kids
No.
yet.
He's got his hand. He's got his handful being an uncle to mine.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Hey, we're going to take a quick break and hear from some of our sponsors.
Support for family trips comes from Airbnb. Hey, Bashi.
Hey, Sufi.
How are you doing?
I'm good. I got an invite to a wedding later this year in Ireland. And I just pulled up unique Airbnbs in Ireland because we want to travel around a little bit. And I'm so excited to stay at some of the coolest places I feel like I've ever seen. And this is going to be the first time that I've kind of like built a trip around cool, unique Airbnbs. And I'm very excited about it.
And I think one of the nice things about that is now you have these wonderful Irish hosts who are going to make memories for you and Mackenzie as you visit their homeland.
Yeah.
Or as Rory McIlroy would say, har, har, har.
Yeah, and I think also one of the nice things about staying in an Airbnb is you will have this host who will give you the keys, and they're going to have a lot of great local insights as to, what you should do in town or, what hikes are good nearby, and it really gives you that sort of direct connection to where you're staying.
Your home could be worth more than you think. Find out how much more at airbnb.com/host.
Family Trips is brought to you by the Freedom from Religion Foundation. You ever notice how many more people are stepping away from organized religion? It's like we all collectively realized, wait, I don't actually have to go to synagogue on Friday or church on Sundays, and boom, sleeping in won. But here's the thing, not everyone's cool with this shift. Christian nationalism is on the rise, and they're working overtime to shove their beliefs into our laws, our schools, and even our personal lives. It's like, hey, I respect your right to believe whatever you want. Just don't make me live by it. That's where the Freedom from Religion Foundation comes in. They fight to keep church and state separate like our founders actually intended. So whether you've always been secular, have left religion behind, or just believe in keeping faith out of our government, FFRF has your back. Join us. Go to ffrf.us/freedom or text FAMILY to 511-511 and become a member today. Text FAMILY to 511-511 or go to ffrf.us/freedom. Because the only thing worse than someone forcing religion on you is when they do it by law. For membership information, text FAMILY to 511-511.
Here we go.
So do you think you knew, like based on your upbringing, are you surprised that you sort of have this farm life now?
Well, my grandmother, my great grandmother had a farm outside of Tacoma, Washington, and she had an array of animals, but it was primarily a pig farm. And so you're going to love this. It all goes back to fucking Airstream. When I was little, and I mean little, probably five, I guess, I started going out there for a couple weeks at a time during the summer and working there. And they didn't let me not work. I mean, I worked. I chopped cords of wood and, feed the pigs. But I slept in an ancient Airstream out in the middle of the field with 3 cows. and I would make a campfire, and I would like wrap potatoes in foil and chuck them in the fire. And I remember being just a wee kid and surviving out there.
Were you just surviving? Because it also sounds like maybe you were thriving. Like, did you?
I
did you love it?
I loved it.
Yeah.
I did. It was my favorite place to be. And then when I met my wife, I was doing a movie out in like Santa Fe area. And I mean, literally, we had just met, and we both had this kind of dream of having a farm. She grew up in Virginia, so kind of grew up in the boonies herself, and we had this kind of idea that we would live on a farm and own like a little cheese shop in town. And literally within a week of meeting, we had this all planned and figured out, and now that's kind of what we have. We live on a farm and have the candy shop, not a cheese shop. But
so you, this is the candy shop that Paul Rudd has
That's right.
Candy shop. Yeah,
that's right.
He once came on my show, and I believe he had either cookies with his face on it or lollipops with his face on it. He was
it's marshmallow.
Yeah,
fucking Rice.
Oh, maybe marshmallow. That's what it was.
Yeah.
And it's called Samuel's Sweet Shop.
Samuel's Sweet Shop.
Who's Samuel?
Samuel is like the uncle of the guy that originally started the candy store. A guy named Ira Gutner, who was the first guy that Hillary and I met when we came up to Rhinebeck. And I was doing a film across on the other side of the river, kind of the Kingston, Woodstock area. And we came over to visit. Do you know Griffin Dunn?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, okay. I was coming over to visit Griffin, who lives just outside of town. And we went into town and decided we needed a coffee, and we went into Samuel's Sweet Shop when I met Ira, and we bought a little cabin in the middle of the woods like that day. I was like, and I had a house in LA and in the valley, right there, by Aroma Cafe, all that, whatever that area is called, Studio City.
Yeah.
And I just bought my first house, and I was like so excited, and I was like, oh, a brand new house, one of those McMansions that they build there. And my wife hated it. And so we bought this little cabin, like 1,200 square feet. She was very pregnant. No, we had Gus at the time. He had just been born. And we bought this little 1,200 square foot cabin and lived there we never left. We had this LA house, and when it was time to, decide school shit, we had to decide, we're going to go back to LA or we're going to stay here. And we decided to stay, and I sold LA, and we bought the farm.
That's
literally.
Amazing. So this is when you're not working, you're always there.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
And kind of wherever the family is. We have a place in the city, like I said, and we do spend time there. But the kids go to school up here, so we spend most of our time here. And right now, it's. I'm looking out the window. It's beautiful.
It's a real good day right
it's
now.
dead for so long. Winter's so everything's brown and there's no leaves on the trees. And then I go out of town for like 2 weeks, and I come back, and it's. I remember why I live here.
Yeah.
Because during the winter, I just bitch and moan. I'm too old for this shit now.
Yeah. This is the month. I would say this is the East Coast month where there's been a lot of rain and just the greens are popping.
It's
really something.
Opened up my swimming pool, and George and I were swimming this weekend, and my month is fall. That's what I love the most.
I'm there too.
It's by far my favorite up here. But I'm a little worried about moving into the city full time. Honest with you.
It sounds like you definitely should.
I'm interested to hear what your kids think, because I would imagine maybe the 15-year-old will appreciate like the action. But I will say that my kids, 9, 7, and 3, who are lucky enough to spend time out of the city as well, they don't care for New York at all.
Oh,
really?
I
think they're just like, they love, they like going to school in New York and stuff, but they're, their very fair complaint is that it's loud and smells bad. And you're like, well, I don't know what the counter argument is to that.
That's true. The one thing is that they've been going to the city, their whole lives. And really the reason we're leaving is the school lacks funding. They're getting rid of all the arts programs and athletics, and it's changed drastically in the last how many months since November? You know what I mean? And the stuff that he's interested in, and the schools just aren't as good. They're passing everything off to AI now, which I think is crazy, the way to teach your children. And so, we did some research, and I called a lot of friends that have grown up and raised their kids in the city, and figured out the schools we wanted to go to, and took a lot of visits. And I think we're really excited. In fact, I'm sure we probably will have kids, the younger ones, in the same school where your kids are, knowing where you are. So I'm pumped. And they're excited about that. And then, I dangle, look, we can go to the farm on weekends. It's not going anywhere. My daughter really loves the animals. My son doesn't care.
Do you still, I remember when you were on my show, do you still have a donkey that thinks it's a dog?
Yeah, Paxton.
Okay, great.
Paxton. Yeah, he's still around. He's still
and has he had any, is it dawned on him that he's a donkey yet?
No. He's like, why am I in with these donkeys? He just every time I go down there, he runs to me like, dude, look where I am. You forgot me here again.
Was this always Paxton's way?
Paxton was born here, and I helped birth him. He got stuck on his way out, and so it was sort of a lobby situation. I just happened to be there.
Lobby donkey.
Yeah. So your kid probably loves the doorman. It's just there's an inherent thing there, and so this donkey just thinks that I'm his dad, or that he's a dog, some combination of both. But he's a hoot. He's very funny. We got a weird array of animals here. It's just, they're all rescues, and so they're all kind of messy. They all have been like abused or something. So at any given moment, you could get killed because these animals all sort of hate humans. The only one that's really good with them is my daughter.
Oh wow!
They all. She's like the animal whisperer.
Oh,
she can go up to like these bulls and stuff, and it scares the crap out of me. And I'm like sprinting, get away from the fence line, and the cows just like kiss her. It's like crazy. They'll like gore to death in a second.
What a crazy thing, but good for her. Her life will be a lot fuller. That
I think so. But I'll be honest. I am going back to the original thing. The kid's gonna do okay in New York. He's going to do great. Gus is going to do fantastic. Yeah. I'm a little bit worried about George's reaction. And she's the lippy, sassy one too. Yeah. So it'll be known.
To loop back to your earlier life, when you said you took the trip to Disneyland, what do you remember? How long of a drive is that from Seattle?
I think it took us 3 days, and we would stop at world's biggest ball of yarn type stuff. How you just do those. But we never went on planes anywhere. I never went on a plane until I was an adult. It was always road trips, and I never realized that we didn't have a lot of money, which is now I look back at it and I go, oh man, we were just busted. Because other people would fly around and fly to Disneyland, and not our family. But yeah, it probably took 3 or 4 days, and then you visit for like 3 or 4 days, and then you had the road trip back,
that's the killer.
Always sucks. Yeah, that's the killer. There's nothing to look forward to there. At least on the way going somewhere, you're like, well, I'm going to see Mickey and go on some rides. It's going to be awesome.
Also, no one feels like healthier after 4 days at Disneyland.
No.
Yeah.
No, it's brutal. Yeah. It's brutal.
Where would you stay in the camper when you got down there? Was that sort of transportation and lodging?
My mom's brother had a house in San Bernardino in the mountains up by Arrowhead.
Mm-hmm.
And so we stayed with him, and then we'd go to Disneyland.
Not an easy commute.
From the
mountains of Arrowhead to Disney.
No, but because I've spent like 20 years in LA, so this was it was in the 70s, So it wasn't like it is now,
Right, but still, though, it's not like you're 10 minutes from the park.
No. You leave at 7, you get there at 9:30, something like that. It was, but after doing the 4-day trip, I was like 2.5 hours is nothing. I mean,
how was your? I'm always fascinated to know the dynamics. Was your? I'm assuming your dad was driving, and was he a good sort of road trip captain?
Yeah, he was. My dad was. He just passed away this July, and there was such a change in him as I got older. I saw him in a completely different light as I got older. I really understood kind of who he was when I was younger. He was seemingly very strict when I was young, and I remember him being very serious about, the driving and loud kids. And, I see these Instagram things or these posts sometimes about Gen X just being a different generation. People, we didn't wear seatbelts and everybody was chain smoking in the cars. It didn't matter if there was kids. And that's very much how it was. And my dad was a no nonsense kind of guy. I just remember we had to be in the back and relatively quiet and not because he would be the guy that just pull over and whack you if you're messing around. And then, to see him with Gus was a completely different guy. And I'm like, what happened?
Yeah. Well, he's not responsible for your for Gus's well-being.
That's true. He just gets to giggle at me now. Yeah, see?
Yeah. So when you're driving and you have to sort of keep it together in the back, are you guys listening to music? Are you reading? Like, what entertains you?
I think reading, and I remember playing cards a lot. I think my mom and I would play cards. She would come back there with us and play cards now and again. And
that's also like, I just feel like, like again, the kind of cars we were driving around back then, like, there was room for a table.
Yeah. I remember because, my dad had retrofitted this van, and he was not a guy that really built things. But he had retrofitted it so the seat, you could pull it out into a bed. And then there was also a table. I mean, this van was used. My mom primarily drove it unless we were on a family road trip and it was her car, but she lugged around soccer teams and baseball teams and every kid I ever knew for decades, it seemed like. And everybody, all my friends that I know still from that time talk about that van, and they remember it very well.
Sounds like your mom was the canary in the coal mine for every parent driving their kids around.
She was. You know what I remember on those road trips is doing like the slug bug game and being able to pound on my sister. I remember every truck doing this. I mean, that was the...
Yeah. Dad would hit the roof of the car every time there was a car missing a headlight.
A padiddle.
A padiddle, as you call it.
A padiddle?
Yeah, that was
what happened then? You just smack the roof?
You just say padiddle and you'd hit the roof.
Yeah.
So that was a game that you all played?
Yeah, I realize now it's just like OCD, basically.
Yeah. Well, and it's a way to keep your kids quiet. Your kids are peeled. They're looking at trying to beat dad. My one truly vivid memory, and if you asked my mom or if my dad had passed away and you asked him, what do you remember from any road trip we ever went on? And I'll never forget it because I was probably 10 or 11 years old. There was a construction crew out on the 5, and I remember it was just before the Grapevine. I don't know why I remember that. I didn't know what the Grapevine was, but it was right because we were really close to LA, and I remember that bit. And there was it was probably 77, 78 construction crew, a lady out there with a safety vest on, but it was kind of the fishnet safety vest, nothing underneath.
Great.
And it was my first look. And my mom's like, close your eyes. And my dad even had a big grin on his face. He was like,
that's the best. Come on.
And I just had my face pressed against that glass. I'm like, slow it down, Pop. And I think he slowed it down. And I'll never forget it as long as I live. Screw Disneyland. Let's just do a U-turn and just do that.
There's a myriad of problems with how easily pornography can be accessed by young kids these days, right? But I think one of the biggest ones is it like robs you of that being the first time you see a naked woman's body. It's like you had to like the amount of things that had to break right for you. You had to be on a road trip right when that lady was in the road.
It was the sun with the clouds opened up and someone touched you just for a moment.
Just for a moment. They're like, hey. But they're like, I know your thighs are sticking to that polyester sheet. You need a break.
It didn't matter that moment. I was like, I'm sticking. I'm not
You
moving.
leapt out. You leapt out of the seat. Didn't matter.
Oh man, you try to jump up and your butt would just stick to the seat. The seat would move like 6 inches.
That's great.
But God, I remember that like it was yesterday. I still remember.
It's also so funny to realize, like, for everything a parent can put into a road trip and all the planning, and we're going to see the giant ball of yarn, and we're going to go to Disney World, and it's like, what was the best part? Yeah, you remember that lady with the boobs?
Oh, the boobs.
And your dad's got to pretend like, oh, I don't remember that part.
You know, almost 50 years later, what do I remember? I remember those boobs. Man.
Can we go back and see that again next year? It's like, what do you guys want to do for spring break? You think that lady's still there?
If she was, I would have been. I think my dad would have been like up for it. He didn't like the road trip aspect, but I probably could have done that driving.
So your kids have even a bigger gap than you and your sister.
Yeah.
How are they? Do they get along?
They do. I think that it was a happy accident. You know, we had tried to have kids much closer together in age and just couldn't. It was just wasn't meant to be. And then about the time we gave up, it stuck, and we have George. But they are, she's 7, he's 15, so they're 8 years apart, and it's just enough where he's still, she gets on his nerves occasionally, but he's such a good brother with her. I think she's kind of a novelty also for him and his friends because she's very. How do I say this? She's very unfiltered. COVID and spending too much time with her father changed her DNA forever. And so she talks a little bit like I do. I don't know how she holds it together at school. I always expect to get a call from a teacher saying, she threw out MF today. And but she doesn't. She just saves that for, home.
What a doll.
Yeah. But they get along remarkably well.
It's weird. I bet like 2 years is, probably, I'm going to say like ideal. And then like there's probably a middle where it actually gets a little weird. And then like it probably picks up again maybe at that point.
How far apart are you guys?
We're 2 years. 2. Yeah.
Oh, that's.
And then my boys are 2, and then our daughter's 3.5 after our second, and that's the same thing. Like they have a real like affection for her as a little bit of a novelty.
Hey, we're going to take a quick break and hear from some of our sponsors. Support comes from Beam. If you're like me, you've noticed a lot more kids running around out there, and that's because school is out, which means that you parents have a lot more to do, a lot less time, and are dealing with a lot more chaos. Routines are off, meals are on the go, and that makes it almost impossible for you guys to make sure your little ones are getting all the vitamins they need every day. And that's why we're excited to introduce you to Beam Kids All-in-One Super Powder. There are a lot of kids supplements out there, but they're all missing something. Like one will have greens but no probiotics, another has vitamins but no fiber. Beam Kids is packed with over 40 essential nutrients, including greens, fruits, vitamins, pre- and probiotics, literally everything kids need for healthy growth, strong immune systems, and steady energy throughout the day. It's pediatrician formulated, third-party tested, and co-created by Olympic gold medalist and mom, Shawn Johnson. It's easy to make. You just add a scoop of it to some milk, shake, stir, and froth, and you're good to go for breakfast, lunch, snack time, or bedtime. Beam Kids fits into any routine. And you guys, they have launched a brand new chocolate chip cookie flavor that tastes like dessert and works like a multivitamin. So your picky eater might very well ask for seconds of greens. Let that sink in. And now's the perfect time to try it, because Beam is offering an exclusive deal for our listeners. For a limited time, you can get up to 35% off plus 2 free gifts when you go to shopbeam.com/trips and use code TRIPS at checkout. That's shopbeam.com/trips and use code TRIPS for up to 35% off and 2 free gifts. Seriously, less stress for parents, better nutrition for kids, and no more arguing over vegetables. Get yourself some Beam Kids Super Powder and have one less thing to worry about this summer. Support comes from Uplift Desk. You guys, I recently got an Uplift Desk, which is a standing desk. It can also be a sitting desk, but I'll tell you this, since I've gotten it, I haven't put it to the lower height to sit at it. I'm just loving standing. I'm loving that all these hours I spend every day in front of a computer, now I'm up, I'm moving around a little bit, and I feel a lot more focus. I don't feel so lethargic at the end of a day, especially in the middle of the day. Initially, I was intimidated when the desk showed up because I had to put it together, but it was pretty easy. It had pre-drilled holes in it. I know what I'm doing. I needed my wife to help me flip it over because it's substantial. It's a good piece of furniture. It's so much nicer than my last desk, and it's been a real treat. It's nice. I've always thought a stand-up desk seemed like a good idea, and Uplift Desk has certainly been a welcome addition to my workday. Great work starts with a great workspace. That's why Uplift Desk builds premium ergonomic furniture designed to keep you moving, feeling good, and doing your best work. Your workday doesn't have to leave you feeling worn out. Go to upliftdesk.com/trips and use our code TRIPS to get 4 free accessories. Free same-day shipping, free returns, and an industry-leading 15-year warranty that covers your entire desk, plus an extra discount on your entire order. That's upliftdesk.com/trips for this exclusive offer. It's only available through our link.
Here we go.
Your son's name is Gus, and what's your daughter's name?
George.
George, yeah, I keep double clutching and being like, wait, I think...
Yeah, it's weird.
Okay, it's a great name.
George Virginia Morgan. We named Gus after Augustus McCrae from Lonesome Dove. Lonesome Dove.
By the way, Lonesome Dove, shout out to Lonesome Dove, which I had seen the first I saw the miniseries.
Yeah.
And then during the pandemic, I read it. And I remember picking it up and thinking like, oh, am I going to really start a 780-page book? Maybe read it in 3 days.
It's
amazing. My wife's reading it right now.
It's so good.
Yeah.
And it just ended up a happy accident that while we were in Santa Fe, I think Hillary and I were pregnant within a month of knowing each other.
Yeah. Okay.
So, I mean, the fact 16 years later.
Well, once you heard she also wanted a farm, you're like, I got to put a baby in her.
Yeah, I was all in.
I'm in showbiz. I don't know when I'm going to meet my next farm lady.
Well, and she is too. It was just
it's amazing.
The fact that it worked out as well as it had is still surprising to me. We still look at each other like, wow,
yeah,
that shit worked. But I remember in Santa Fe watching Lonesome Dove. She's like, oh, man, it's one of my favorite shows. And we had just found out she was pregnant. And we just kind of knew. And then with George, we could not settle on a name. And I remember, again, being a 70s kid, my favorite show back then was Bonanza. And there was an episode called A Girl Named George.
Wow.
And I threw it out. We were messing around here at the farm and it's like doing chores or whatever, and we were throwing out baby names, and I'm like thinking she's never going to go for this, but I'll throw it out. I'm like, what about George? And that was it. She was like, that's it.
Does great. George appreciate that she has a
She
unique
loves
name?
her name.
That's great. I mean, it does sound the way it's weird the way you've described her. It's almost like sometimes you wish you could give your kids a name when they were 7.
Yeah.
But it seems like you guys, I don't know, you nailed it without knowing.
Nailed it. She is she's a perfect George.
They're like, George? They're like, which one's that? She's the one the bulls like who's always saying motherfucker?
She's the funniest kid I've ever met in my life. And again, I think a lot of it has to do with being a COVID kid. And spending both of my kids are much more comfortable hanging out with adults than they are children.
Right.
Gus will go hang out at events with all like the moms.
Right.
It's just it's awesome. So yeah, I think we lucked out. Both of them are great. Every now and then, Gus is getting to the age now where he occasionally is like, introduces himself and he'll say it's Augustus Dean. I just and I'm like, oh shit. we took him. We had a show premiere for the show I do in Cannes like 2 weeks ago. And
this is Destination X?
No, this is the zombie thing.
Okay, great.
Walking Dead.
Yeah.
Please tell me you know the name of it.
After 10 years.
For you to call The Walking Dead the zombie thing is beyond. Yeah. Look, everybody agrees it's a bad name. Nobody can remember it.
It's a zombie thing. Well, who knows? You guys might not watch it, so I just say zombie thing, and then you're like, oh yeah, that thing. So it premiered this year at Cannes Series, and so I took the family because it's hard for us to leave our kids. I don't know about you guys, but it's just
it is
hard.
And also, if it's a cool place and you think they're going to enjoy it, why
not? And Gus is very interested, and he's a very good actor. Unfortunately, he does a lot of theater, and he constantly amazes me. But which is another reason why we have to be at a school that is offering that kind of opportunity. But he's now 6 feet tall, and he steals all my clothes. He was wearing my suits at Cannes, and I took him to the premiere, and I got my hands put in the cement, the Walk of Fame there, which was cool. And I was like, this may never happen at any other time in my life, and you guys should come. And they were like, sure. But I thought that Gus was going to walk out of there with like a 3-picture deal. He's such a good looking, like cool dude, that it's stupid. And, I don't remember why I even brought that, how we got to that, but I had somewhere I was going with it.
Had you been to Cannes before?
I had, by myself. I'd never brought the clan with me. And then I was in Nice last year with Destination X.
Okay, gotcha.
And get this is just excellent timing. I'm a big F1 guy.
All right.
Mm-hmm. And so this weekend is Monaco. And for Christmas, my wife got me tickets and all the stuff to the Grand Prix there, bringing everybody out. Gus and I will go to the car race, even though it's George that watches the car races with me generally. And we're going to Monaco, staying in Nice, and then going to the F1 thing, and then we're taking the kids to. We should have done this podcast in like a week because I'll have some stories. And then we're taking a train from Nice to Paris because both the kids want to see Paris. I don't know what they think they're going to see. I already can hear George like, can we just go back to the hotel?
I know, but if you ultimately, you can't deny it. If your kids actually want to see a city like Paris, you got to be like, great. Before they change their mind.
Let's do it. And Gus is all in. Like he's already, he's got all of his France books out where the places he wants to go. Like I'd be happy just staying in Nice at the beach for a week, but nope, we're going to get on a train and go to Paris and do all the
Paris
very stuff. Jealous. It's going to be great. And we've never really gone anywhere like cool as a family because it's always, it's always work. We just never, whenever I'm off, the kids are in the middle of school.
Yeah.
That's just how it's worked out. So summers I'm always gone. So I can never get away then. And then the minute I get off and I'm home for 2 months, it's the middle of the school year. And so we just never have done anything. So this is a really big deal.
I apologize for not quite remembering, but how many seasons in were you introduced in The Walking Dead? Because it wasn't the first season, right?
Okay, this is because it kills me. I've been there for 10 years. Right. I've been on this show for 10 years. I came in season 6.
Wow.
Right?
That's really something.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
I mean, first of all, it's crazy in this day and age, right? Nothing lasts.
Nothing.
And so to be a part of a thing that both has endured and then has, spin-offs that are doing multiple seasons, it's very cool.
Yeah. It's always great when Seth talks about nothing lasting, and he had one job on SNL. How long were you there for, Seth?
I was there for 12 and a half years, and then I had
how
a
long
second
have you
job,
had your show?
11 years.
Okay. You've had some pretty good gigs. Although, Josh,
same
I gotta say, your Gavin Newsom is one of my favorite characters on television right now.
It is really exceptional.
Oh my God. The first time I saw it, I thought it was fucking Gavin Newsom.
Well, when Josh goes out and shoots, that's an issue as well.
Yeah, I do get people double clutching. If I wear a suit somewhere, it's like there are eyes that are coming to me, and I know they're not coming for me. They're coming because they think I'm Gavin Newsom.
It's so good. Yeah, between that and you're up close. That's I get my news from Daily Show and a closer look.
Thank you, buddy.
That's where I get my news from these days. I can't.
I've decided. I was just saying to somebody last night. Like I feel like 10 years ago, people would be like, "I can get my news from you." I'm like, "Don't get your news from me." And now I'm like, "Yeah, that's fine."
Yeah.
Like I don't blame you. It's too awful. Just listen to me.
Well, I just need the highlights, and it's
just
a
the highlights with some
to
jokes.
get the highlights.
That's the way to do it.
It's perfect because otherwise I would just be too overwhelmed.
We're in a highlight era. So this is actually, I mean, we rarely have a guest who's got a show coming that is so tied to family trips. Although, Destination X is not. This is not a normal trip.
No,
but this was a Belgian show.
It was a Belgian show, and it won all these crazy awards as being like the coolest reality show ever in Belgium.
Right.
And so they had sent me the Belgian version, which didn't really help me because I don't speak Belgium. But I could see the idea was very interesting and fun. And I'd also never, hosted a show or done anything like this. And really, it was my wife who kind of comes from that world as being like, a VJ on MTV 30 years ago, and doing that she was like, you know what, you're not getting younger, which is very true. I can't continue to kill zombies forever. It hurts. I'm sick of being sore. And she's like, because I had just finished the season of Dead City, and I was like, I need to be home. I'm exhausted. This offer came in to do this reality show, and I was like, oh man. I remember telling NBC, I had a meeting with NBC so they could kind of pitch the thing to me, and I'm like, I'm not Chris Hardwick. I'm unpredictable, and I'm the last thing I think that NBC. Nothing against NBC, but I'm the last thing you guys are going to want. I'm a loose cannon. And they convinced me, no, this is that we want you to be you. And I was like, well, you're stepping in it, but okay. Let's try. And I really, it took getting used to kind of doing this show, but the idea was so cool.
So people go there. They go on a road trip. They don't know where.
They don't know where they're in Europe. We travel all over Europe. They are in a bus. No, it's a well-appointed kind of rock star bus. Cameras everywhere, hidden everywhere.
But no windows.
And they blacken the windows. I shouldn't say they're blackened. They are frosted so you can't see out of them, but
obscured.
Obscured. You can see light. And so you realize very quickly that the smarter players are watching the sun and trying to figure out which direction we're going and all this. And so I will travel ahead and meet them at challenges, and then I do like the eliminations. And so I traveled Europe a little bit differently than they did. Thank God. Because I couldn't have done it.
But you were like, when they complained, you're like, you ever take a camper from Seattle to Disneyland?
Yeah, that's exactly right. I could, unless you saw boobs, forget it. But I could check in. I could do a live feed check-in when I was bored. I could do a live feed check-in, and then I'd get, a printout of everything that took place on the bus that day. All the personal crazy stuff that happens. It's like Big Brother house, only it's the size of this trailer with, 10 people. And so it's insanity. And then we would do challenges, and NBC luckily would just kind of prod me to, be an asshole. I guess, nice. To kind of torture them a little bit and enjoy it. And I did. And it was really fun. And then I just finished doing kind of the voiceover stuff for all the episodes. Just finished like last week. And so I had seen all the episodes now. And it's it's a really fun show.
And they have to figure out where they are.
Yeah. Okay. So the point of the show, I probably should throw you that at least.
Well, it's Destination X. So it's a destination, and X is sort of a question mark.
That's it. So at the end of every day, their job after doing like a challenge and getting some clues, and they can share the clues or not. They have to go into this called the map room that's on the bus, and they put their X where they think we are, and then the first person that is furthest away from where we are, I throw them out. They're done. Bye.
Great.
Walk home.
Such a fun, novel idea.
It's really like I wasn't sure. I'll be honest. Like, I'm also not a guy that's real hip on the reality show stuff. I just don't. I don't watch it.
It's almost for the best. I feel like then you make it your own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just the fact they kind of let me sort of have fun with it, I thought was really cool. And at the same time, it was a NBC, BBC kind of team up production. And so the second I finished, Brits did a version of as well. And so we're kind of tag teaming. And
that's exciting.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
I take it back, Posh. I've often said nothing good has ever come out of Belgium. And other than Tintin. Sorry. Tintin. Tintin.
I didn't know Tintin came out of there.
We lived in Amsterdam for a few years, Jeffrey, and they created Big Brother was a Dutch creation. So
all those good shows come out of there. I love Amsterdam. We were in Amsterdam, as a matter of fact. Why did you guys live there? And how cool is that?
There was a comedy theater, an improv comedy theater that we both got hired out of college to go work for.
No shit. So you didn't do
dream.
Second City. You did Amsterdam.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, we did Boom Chicago.
Second City's amazing, but doing Second City of Amsterdam has a lot more.
Did you guys ride bikes?
Yeah. Everywhere.
Yeah,
everywhere.
I love it because of all. I almost got killed there being run over by bikes, but it's a special city.
I've talked about this a lot on the podcast, but I'm about to bring my 9-year-old. And he's very excited about the bikes, but I'm like, it's like not the bikes you think. You know what I mean? Like when everybody's on a bike and it's like commuters.
Yeah.
But he's so clumsy.
I feel like growing up in New York right now, you're already pretty, you got the peripheral on the.
He's got his head
riders.
on a swivel, but sometimes sometimes is in outer space. But hopefully he'll be.
That's my kids too. They're not the athletic type, but they can fall down anywhere.
I can't believe how often I just walk in and I'm like, all right, get dressed. And he's sitting in a chair. And then I come back 10 minutes later and it's like one pant leg is in.
Yeah.
What have you been doing?
Yeah.
He's like, I don't know.
Yeah. That's
right.
George. George is the same way. Unless she is really motivated to do something her way. I can't tell you how many times I tell both kids still to brush their teeth. I'm like, it's been years.
Also, it's so gross when you haven't brushed your teeth. Like your mouth is gross.
It's so gross.
Just like it feels better.
Yeah.
Well, and they're when you already have cavities as like a 7-year-old, I'm like, get it together, man.
Yeah, that's a girl named George for you.
She's like, Dad, this isn't gonna be my last.
She's got a friggin' silver tooth already. She's like a pirate, man.
The sun reflects off her mouth when she smiles, blinds the cows.
She thinks it's cool. She's like, whatever.
She's not wrong.
Yeah. She's got,
when you went to
now,
Cannes,
she's floppy. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, when you went to Cannes, was there any time to go do family stuff and explore, or was it pretty much all
I just worked the entire time.
Yeah, that festival life is not actually fun.
Yeah. I mean, we also knew that we were coming back in like a couple of weeks to actually have some family time. I mean, George, of course, if she sees anything that's wet, she wants to jump in it. So there was a pool. So her and Hill. But also at that time at Cannes, you can't leave the fucking hotel because there's paparazzi and fans.
Yeah.
At least that's my experience.
She's like, Seth, you'd be fine.
We one night we walked down like whatever, I guess the main street of Cannes is our last night there. And it's just like restaurants with people eating outside, and then one whole block of gelato stands, or gelato, not stands, they're storefronts. But like 10 of them, like on the same street. I'm like, what must the competition be here?
Yeah.
Who's got the coolest sandwich board and free samples? And so we just kind of hung out there and got free samples for a while. And then we're like, all right, we're going to buy one. And I never felt like such a loser in my life because, of course, they knew who we were. And then they wouldn't take American Express, and I didn't have any euros with me. And so the next morning, it was like 11 o'clock at night. And so we were leaving the next day. So my wife gets up at 8, exchanges like $100 with the hotel, runs to the gelato stand, a half mile away, pays them in cash. I'm like, just give them all of it. But they were like, just go away here.
Yeah, no, but you don't want word getting out in France that
no,
Jeffrey Dean Morgan's the sample guy.
Yeah. The sample
especially
guy,
when you're coming back in 2 weeks.
The guy that gets ice cream for his whole family and then doesn't pay.
Did you guys ever used to go into Seattle as a kid?
Yeah,
Would you make
I went
trips
there
to the city?
a lot. I remember taking the bus in as just a little guy. I was a big basketball and football fan as a kid. And this is like, I remember in 79, the Sonics won the world championship. And I was like, 12? I was born in 66, 13, something like that. And I remember taking the bus across by myself. It's something you'd never allow a kid to do now. It was an hour bus ride into the big city. And I'd go there at night to get like players' autographs after games. We would sneak into the Kingdome. The Sonics actually played in the Kingdome, which is a football stadium, for 2 years. And we could sneak in and watch games for free. And so I used to go into town a lot. And then I lived downtown through... I graduated 84, so like 85 through 90, I lived right by Pike Place Market, and had like 100 jobs in Pike Place Market that I would have for like 3 days. And I worked at the very first Starbucks, and that lasted like a minute. I worked at restaurants that lasted. I worked at a hat store. I worked at a shoe store. And I worked with it was just me, and it was John Fluvogs. I don't know if you're familiar with John Fluvogs, but they sold like the Beetle boots and, all the hip, creepers, stuff like that were cool like in the 80s. And it was me and this woman working there called named Susan Silver, and she married Chris Cornell and became.
Oh, wow. And I was going to ask, like, is that, if you get out at 90, was there a sense of what the music scene was about to be?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I knew it was a very kind of small community of artists. And my best friend, a guy named Billy Burke, who is an actor actually now, was a musician, but he's been on like Fire Country for the last few years.
Oh, nice.
And he was a musician, and kind of before grunge exploded, he was the guy that all these bands would open for. And he was the only guy that didn't get a record deal in Seattle at that time. Grunge exploded. He was doing kind of his own thing, which wasn't grunge. And so all the bands that opened for him, the Mother Love Bones, the Soundgarden, this Nirvana was, up north a little bit. But they all got signed at the same time, and so he was like, "Well, fuck this! I guess I'm gonna try to be an actor." And I was like, "I'll try to be an actor. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing." And we drove down to LA. There was a road trip.
Fantastic.
We drove down
what
to LA.
A thing. And then
we
it all
drove
worked
down
out.
that was a road trip. We drove down to LA, and Billy had a Hearse. You heard that right. And,
a Hearse?
And that was his car. And we drove a Hearse from Seattle to LA, moved to LA, and decided we'd be actors.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
I can't believe it worked out so well based on what a bad omen that probably looked like.
Would one person drive and the other one would just sleep in the coffin in the back?
Yeah. But see, before that, when he was a musician, you'd carry all the band equipment in the back because I was kind of his roadie. And so it was super cool to pull up at a club in Seattle in the Hearse and unload your fucking music equipment, your drum kits and shit. And
I'm sure like most second uses for hearses are probably bands. I didn't know you could buy those. I remember at the time he came home with it. We were roommates. I'm like, what the fuck is that? Yeah.
How did you manage this little thing? And it was weird, but whatever.
Yeah.
This has been such a delight. and I'm so happy you did it from the Airstream.
Thank you for having me. Yeah.
But before you go, Josh is going to speed round you real quick, Jeffrey.
Okay.
All right, some quick questions. You can only pick one of these. Is your ideal vacation relaxing, adventurous, or educational?
Relaxing.
Great.
What is your favorite means of transportation?
The quickest. Private airplanes.
Private airplane. You know what? You've earned that with your life on the
I'm
farm.
gonna get shit for saying that.
Look, you got dirt under your fingernails. You want?
I've worked hard for it.
This one gets a little trickier. If you could take a vacation with any family, alive or dead, real or fictional, other than your own family, what family would you like to take a vacation with?
Oh my God. The Waltons.
Great.
Lovely. Very wholesome.
Good night, John Boy.
I do have terrible news. They don't fly private.
No, they're in a fucking wagon with horses.
I think maybe actually in the later seasons they did, and that's what
maybe.
I
feel like John Boy's flying private.
They were like,
I
it's
don't
not
know.
the same show anymore.
No, it's not. It's not. Or Partridge Family would be my second. That's probably funner.
You were worried the Waltons didn't date you enough.
I mean, I could have gone Cartwright.
Or the
There's like a couple
Osmonds.
places I could have gone, but for some reason, the Waltons popped in. There you go.
Okay. If you had to be stranded on a desert island with one member of your family, who would it be?
George.
Yeah, right. You are from Kirkland, Washington. Would you recommend Kirkland as a vacation destination?
It's a really... I haven't been there in a bit, but it's a really cute little town, but it's not that little anymore. After Microsoft and everybody kind of moved to that side of... it's really crowded, but it's a great... It used to be a really kind of small town, and now it's not. It's a great place to visit.
Okay.
I don't know that I'd vacation there.
Sure. Yeah. But maybe worth a stop, worth a night or two.
Yeah, swing by. It's right on the lake, so it's very pretty, and
great.
It's completely different from when I grew up there.
And then Seth has our final questions.
Jeffrey, have you been to the Grand Canyon?
No.
Oh, do you want to go?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought you did. All right.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm surprised you haven't been.
I am too. Because I've ridden motorcycles and stuff across the country, and have always said, "Oh, we're going to go to the Grand Canyon," and then we never do.
I would have put all my money on that you've been.
I would have.
I'm kind of taken aback.
I'm sorry. I apologize. I let myself down there.
I feel like right at the end, I'm like, I don't think he's who he said he was.
I feel like a fraud myself.
Well, you should go because, little secret you let us in on, but you're not getting any younger. So
no, thank you. Yes.
It's not mean when he's quoting it back to you. It's not mean when he's quoting it back. I guess it's actually your wife's quote.
A little bit dicky. A little bit dicky right at the end. Way to end the interview on a good note.
Yeah. Well, the contestants on Project X told us you were a little bit of a dick. So I
got paid for that.
Great to see you, Jeffrey. Thank you for the time.
So good
what a
to
delight.
See you.
Yeah,
you guys
have a great trip with your family and
Thank
friends.
you.
And,
Thank you. I'll have stories for you next time we talk.
All right, great. Yeah, return guest. We'll take it.
All right. Thank you, guys. I love you both.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye.
Family trips with the Meyers brothers.